Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we have a crazy episode of YellowJackets to talk about. We're now up to episode 8, titled Flight of the Bumblebee. Before we go into it, please make sure to like this video if you guys have been enjoying it. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. But let's get right into episode 8 of YellowJackets. There's a lot to discuss. So at the end of episode 7, we believed Van to be dead. She got eaten by wolves. In that video, I specifically said, I think Van is dead. We saw half her face like gnawed off by wolves. I said there's no way that Van's going to actually be alive. So this episode begins with Tai burning Van's body. All the other girls are watching in this ceremonial burning for Van. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, she's obviously dead. I was right. You know, all those people, you guys showed me like the trailers, you know, in the next trailer, we see Van might be still alive. I watched it. I was like, she looks pretty dead to me. So this episode begins, you know, I was all happy. I'm like, all right, yeah, I was right. Then all of a sudden her eyelids start moving and I was like, oh my God, all right, I was wrong. So all those people that caught that and sent me the trailer link and all that stuff, nice detective work, good job on you guys. So it's revealed that Van is still alive. She opens her eyes, starts moving, the girls quickly take her off before she's burned alive. Right after this, we get the sick opening theme with the song that I love and that crazy 90s intro that it's just growing on me so much. And now that song, every single time I hear it, I just get super excited for what's to come. So now after the intro and that cold opening, we get a flashback scene for Laura Lee. She seems to be at this community pool and we get a cool shot of like the underneath water. And then we just see Laura Lee diving headfirst right into the bottom of the pool and she gets bloodied and she gets knocked out. Sort of a hard scene to watch. It was pretty gruesome and the blood work and everything. Really well done scene, but also sort of hard to watch. And the whole point of this flashback scene was to show us the origins of Laura Lee's religious background, her faith in God. As a lifeguard that saves her had the cross of God. He was wearing the necklace of the cross of God. And he says that I didn't save you, it was God that saved you. And, you know, this is, like I said, the origins of Laura Lee's faith in God. We cut back to present day where we see Laura Lee and Lottie. They're talking in the cabin. Or not present day, 1996. And Lottie's a little bit worried about the group that went off, you know, Tai and Van, everyone else, Misty. And Laura Lee says that they're now in God's hands. So now we go to the real present time where we see present day Shauna and her daughter found Adam's license in the house. As you guys remember from last episode, Adam came in, Adam and Shauna, you know, they did the whole thing. He hid in the closet, Jeff came, you guys all remember. So now the next morning, Shauna's daughter finds his license. And that's not the suspicious or weird thing. The weird thing is that she actually looked up Adam's name, Adam Martin, that's what his last name is on the driver's license, and there's no information on him at all. He doesn't have any social media. He's pretty much just a ghost, which is sort of weird nowadays, right? Everyone's got social media, everyone's got a Facebook, Instagram, something. So the fact that he doesn't have that is really sketchy, and it's kind of our first hint that Adam isn't who he says he is, and that maybe he is actually Javi. And this is one of many hints that in this episode that maybe Adam is Javi, but that's a theory that we'll get to at the end of this episode. We'll throw a lot of theories out there. I'm sure in the comments you guys have some good ones as well. But right away with this new information, Shauna calls up his old art school. They had a conversation one day where Adam was explaining how he went to Pratt Art School. So she calls that school and there's no record of him. It was like he was never there. So this is another hint that's saying that he isn't who he says he is. And it's pretty much confirmed here that Adam is using a fake identity. Now why is he doing this? We'll talk about that later. But right after this, Jeff comes in and he bought Shauna a gift. It's a new dress. There seems to be, I believe, a high school reunion tomorrow. I think it's a high school reunion. I think he just says reunion, but my mind just immediately went to high school. After this, we go back to 1996 in the cabin. We see Nat and Travis. Nat is about to go hunting. She invites Travis. Travis says no. It seems like he's still upset about their last awkward encounter to where he couldn't get hard for sex or whatever, right? So Nat goes off hunting by herself. She runs into Coach Ben, who's like reading a book in the middle of the woods. Nat sort of accuses him of being gay because like he doesn't stare at their boobs or whatever. And Coach Ben pretty much confirms that he is gay. Nat also asks Coach Ben if he thinks that Travis is gay because he couldn't get hard during sex. And then Coach Ben explains that it's not uncommon for that to happen to a guy. Whole big back and forth conversation, but at the gist of this conversation at the end is that Nat agrees to keep the secret of Coach Ben's sexuality a secret from everyone else because he doesn't want to tell anyone else yet. We then cut to Tai and Van and the rest of the group as they're carrying Van now. They're trying to get her back to the cabin. They seem to be moving very slow because Van is very injured. So Van is saying, like, go on without me. And Tai agrees, saying that you guys go and get help and she'll stay back with Van. So that's what happens. The rest of the girls leave as Tai and Van stay back. So now in the present day, we cut back to crazy-ass Misty, who is again watching Nat on her secret camera that she has in Nat's hotel room. And on the camera, she sees Nat is buying cocaine. And Misty is obviously very upset about this. I guess she doesn't want Nat to go, to relapse and go back into cocaine. So Misty just leaves Jessica, who she has in her basement tied up, and goes after Nat to make sure that she doesn't snort the cocaine. So after this scene, we go back to 1996, where we see Travis is, I guess, going fishing with a net, and Jackie's there also on the beach. So they start talking a little bit. Jackie seems to bring up Nat's past, where she had a past hookup with Bobby Farley, I think was the name. I don't know if this name will come into importance later on, but at least for right now, with this little subplot, it's important. And she brings up Bobby Farley. That was the last guy that she hooked up with. This obviously angers Travis, and he storms off. So now we come back to present time. We see Misty barge into Nat's room right before Nat is about to snort some cocaine. Misty is so crazy and so weird that instead of just easily just picking up the cocaine and dumping it out the window or whatever, she just immediately starts trying to snort it. Not just for her own pleasure. She doesn't want to actually snort this cocaine. She just wants to snort it just so that Nat doesn't have it and in her presence and snort it. Like, she'll snort cocaine just so Nat doesn't. So her mindset is just like totally bonkers. So after this, they sort of bicker for a little bit. They sort of go back and forth, and it's revealed that Misty has the camera. Like, Nat finds Misty's hidden camera, and Nat's obviously upset about it. But I think she knows that Misty's a total creep and a weirdo, and that she had like no malintent by that camera. She just wanted to like keep track of her friends, like in that weird way. So she just like smashes it. They bicker again, and then Misty leaves. And then we cut back to 1996. What's his name? Travis is confronting Nat about the information that he just heard from Jackie about Bob Farley. And Nat sort of admits to it, says that she didn't want to tell him because he was going to freak out. Nat admits that it was a mistake. Travis also says that this was a mistake, like between him and Nat. Nat sort of fires back at him with like one last punch, saying that this would have been a lot harder if they actually had sex. And then Travis sort of like storms off again after that. And so Nat then sees Jackie watching. She accuses Jackie of being the one that told Travis, and then Nat storms off. After this, we go back to present day. We see Shauna and Jeff and her daughter. They're all eating dinner. Someone knocks on the door. Shauna's probably worried that it's Adam or someone, but it turns out to be Tai, and Tai is just coming to talk to Shauna. They go for a little walk to have a conversation. Tai pretty much just opens up to Shauna, telling her that she's afraid to go to sleep or else she's going to lose control, which is what we've seen that's been happening these last couple episodes, right? We've seen Tai lose control of herself whenever she goes to sleep. There's one line in this conversation that I think was really important. It's when Tai tells Shauna, when talking about that like sleepwalking out of control thing she does, she says, "You know how bad it can get," and Shauna sort of agrees. This is obviously a foreshadow to what happened in the past in the cabin 1996, but I wonder if the foreshadowing, if it was about the moment when, it's obviously not about the moment of when Tai went up to the tree in last episode, right? She sleptwalked in episode 7, and that's how Van got eaten by wolves. She could obviously be referring to that moment, and that's how bad it can get. But I think there's another moment that she's talking about. Maybe there's a moment that we'll see in the past now, a foreshadowing moment that is, Tai losing control, maybe killing one of the girls or something like that. But I thought it was important in line for this little conversation. So now going back to 1996, we see the group, Misty and the rest of the other girls. They show up to the cabin. They ask for help from the girls. All the girls, they go looking for Tai and Van. Tai shoots up a flare. They get Tai and Van. They find them. They bring them back. They start stitching up Van's face, which is an obviously very painful experience for Van, as we see. Another very well done scene. And then it just does like a close-up shot to Laura Lee's face as Laura Lee is watching Van. And, it just kind of clicked for me now. I just think that close-up shot was just Laura Lee's realization that they need to go. Like, they can't stay here anymore and that they need to take action. I think that is when she made the decision that she is going to go into the plane that we'll see later on in this episode. And then now, cutting back to present day, we see Shauna and Tai in, I think, Shauna's daughter's room or, some sort of guest or spare bedroom in Shauna's house. They're talking. Shauna's letting Tai sleep over. They're having a conversation about what their lives would have been like if the crash never happened. Shauna has this whole thing. She talks about her plans. Tai talks about her plans as well, but the difference with Tai's plans is that she actually did her plans that she talked about. She went to the school she wanted to. She got the job she wanted to. All this stuff that happened is what she wanted. But she said that it never felt real to her. After this, we go back to Nat in present day, who's obviously really upset about not having her cocaine. She's like calling someone up, which I think is someone that maybe works for Kevin. As you guys know, Kevin sort of broke up with Nat in the last episode. because Nat took his gun or whatever without telling him. And so Nat's obviously very upset. She sort of has like this freak out in the room. And then she finds some cocaine on the floor and she like snorts it. I thought it was a very well acted scene by Juliette Lewis. I've always loved Juliette Lewis. I think she's great. And to see her have, a really good like freak out scene here, I thought was kind of nice. After this, we get a quick little scene of what happens with Misty. Misty goes back into the basement where Jessica is. Jessica is now holding the bird that Misty owns. And Misty doesn't like this. She's sort of, she doesn't threaten Jessica, but Jessica threatens her saying like, let me go or else I'm going to kill this bird. Misty doesn't believe her. But then before Jessica might actually do it, Misty like starts throwing stuff at her. And this is enough where Jessica will let go of the bird. And after this, Misty just tightens the locks on Jessica. And then, she's so crazy that while locking Jessica back up, she asks if she wants anything to eat. And Jessica's like, yeah, sure. They have like this weird like Misery relationship. If you guys ever seen Misery, great movie. If you haven't watched it, definitely check it out. After this, we get the scene in the past where I was just talking about that foreshadow moment. We see Shauna and Tai talking in the attic. And Tai is talking to Shauna about her sleepwalking, that she had where she woke up in the tree. And she's very scared of it. And this made me just ask myself this question, like, has this been happening to Tai ever since that moment? But then we get that question answered later in the episode when she's talking to Simone. Tai says a line in there to where, I think she said, like, after the crash, once they came back home, like, it stopped. But now that all this stuff is happening, how she's stressful, her sleepwalking patterns have come back. But we'll get to that scene in a little bit. Before this scene, we get one more conversation between Shauna and Tai. And, they're still in the bedroom. Shauna admits to Tai that she's having an affair with Adam. She says that she's actually in love with Adam, and I think I sort of believe her. She says that he's young, and Tai wants to know more about him. Tai also throws in that she doesn't feel that same sort of love with Simone anymore. It's sort of more like this like safe relationship that she just is sort of going through the motions with. She doesn't actually have any sort of more feelings for Simone. The next morning, Shauna goes to Adam's house, to where he lives. She brings him some coffee. She starts questioning him, mostly about the art school stuff. She starts questioning about art school. He admits that he didn't actually go there, but his old girlfriend went there, and he thought, he might be able to impress her by saying that he went there. Shauna asks some more questions. There's one little thing in here where Adam says that he does have an older brother. Could this be that he's talking about Travis and he could be Javi? Who knows? But he answers the rest of Shauna's questions enough to where Shauna does believe him in that moment, and he says that he even wants them to go away together. So now after this, we go back into the past, to 1986, in the cabin. It's the next morning there, and Laura Lee has an announcement. Her announcement is that she's going to fly the dead guy's plane off the island and get help, right? And like I just said, think that moment seeing Van is what clicked for her, that they need to go, no matter what. And so Coach Ben comes in. He says that I'm the only adult here, so I'm not going to let you go. And Jackie also forces Shauna to tell everyone that Shauna's pregnant. So that's another thing in here now. So now everyone knows that Shauna's pregnant, right? But most importantly, Coach Ben tells Laura Lee that she's not going to go. Laura Lee pretty much shows her dominance over Coach Ben and says, what are you going to do to stop me? And I thought this was a really cool scene because it was sort of like Laura Lee becoming that leader that we thought that she might become, showing her dominance, questioning the alpha of the pack, because Coach Ben is like, if there was in a wolf pack, if there was an alpha, Coach Ben would be that, only because he's the adult. So Laura Lee is sort of combating that, showing her dominance as well. And I thought this was another foreshadowing moment to where Laura Lee could become the alpha of that group. As we'll see by the end of this episode, that's probably not going to happen. So now after this, we go back to present day Nat. This was a weird, interesting little scene where we see Nat is trying to find out more information about that bank account stuff with Travis, right? Someone took out money from Travis's bank account after he was already dead. So she has a friend that I guess works as a banker, used to be an old sponsor of someone. They have a conversation and she wants to know more about this information. The sponsor, the banker, obviously says that I can't do that. But then Nat sort of blackmails her and says that, fine, I'll have to call your boss and tell him about that time when we used to sell her clients' personal information to identity thieves. And then that's probably what's going to be, the banker is not going to let her tell that information, right? So she's going to work with Nat. And then hopefully next episode or whenever, we'll be able to see who that person was that took out the money from Travis' bank account from this new character that just happened to come in this episode. After this, we see all the girls in 1996. They're clearing the way for Laura Lee. They're clearing the way so that the plane can have a nice runway to lift off, right? There's this weird little scene where Jackie was being a little bit too nice to Shauna, showing concern about the baby. Jackie obviously knows about Shauna and Jeff by now by reading the journal last episode, right? So, Jackie's obviously being fake, but I wonder, like, what her reason is for sort of, like, drawing this out. Like, why is she trying to be nice to Shauna, sort of, like, play games with her? I just sort of, like, wonder, like, what her mindset is right now. So after this, we go back to present day. We get a quick little scene that I already talked about earlier with Tai and Simone, and Tai saying that she's afraid of her sleepwalking patterns. She believes she's the one that let Biscuit out of the house, which is the dog, and that she's afraid of what she might do, so she wants Simone to leave. And Simone, I guess, sort of agrees that she's going to leave. But after this, we now get to the nitty-gritty. We get the last two scenes now, which were pretty freaking awesome. So we see Shauna. She goes in her closet. She finds the glitter on the floor. We get a flash. Well, we get shown the scene from last episode where Tai says we need to find someone that's wearing glitter now because whoever stole the 50K has glitter on them, right? And so as we know, Adam was in that closet. So Shauna's mind obviously goes right to Adam is the one who has that money and who's behind all that blackmailing stuff because there's glitter in her closet, right? And so she checks her safe, and her safe is empty. And what was in that safe was her journals from when she was in the cab 1986, right? So whoever stole those, obviously wants them, and she thinks Adam might be that person. But right after this, she goes right to Adam's house, knocks on the door. Adam answers, and Shauna asks, "Who are you?" Adam obviously has like this like disappointed look on his face, like he's been caught, and that's all we get for right now, right? So then we go back to the past, 1996. So we see Laura Lee is ready to fly this plane, right? Which is super crazy, but sort of like really entertaining for this. And all the girls are hugging her, they're wishing her luck. Laura Lee gets in, she starts going, the plane starts up, it's going, the thing flies off into the sky. She's actually going. I know that, we all obviously knew that she wasn't going to make this somehow. Like, I think once she was up in the air, I sort of knew, like, all right, she's crashing or something, right? But the weird thing is that not only does she doesn't crash, right? I think it's the seat or the stuffed bear next to her starts to light on fire. I think it's the seat, but was it the bear? In this sort of either supernatural way, or it's like someone sabotaged it, but it's so random that the seat or the plane started to catch fire. What are your guys' theories on that? What's the cause of that fire? Either way, we then get like a landscape shot of just seeing the plane out, and the thing explodes. Like in like a Michael Bay movie, the whole thing just explodes, and we see all the girls are upset about this. Lottie's obviously the most upset as she cries, and then the episode ends with Laura Lee is dead now, guys, which is pretty crazy. So my rating for this episode is a 4 out of 5. I think this was the best episode yet. I see a lot of people, or some people at least, they didn't love it. I can see why. We don't get too many answers here and there about, it's more about reiterating the puzzles. We don't get answers about Adam or Javi or the blackmail stuff. But I thought this episode was great. I honestly loved the pacing of it. Like right from the get-go, we were just going and going and going. Like new information, new stuff here and there and there. And I thought it was very highly entertaining. And for me, this was my favorite episode so far. Before we talk about the theories, I do want to talk about next episode. If you guys have watched the trailer, there's a lot to talk about with that trailer. Let's just hit on some of the things. Obviously, for me, the most crazy line was seeing Lottie saying, "We won't be hungry much longer." She's got like blood in her face, like she looks all weird. I've been wanting to see cannibalism in this show from like the very first episode. So I was happy when I heard that line. And I feel like they're definitely gonna eat someone, right? Like, come on, that line is so ominous and like hinting towards cannibalism that I feel like it's gotta happen. Another thing is I think Shauna calling out to Tai saying, "I got him," and then it shows a bunch of girls holding down Travis. So what is the reason for them holding down Travis? As we know, like he survives, right, into the future. So are they trying to eat him? They're trying to have sex with him? Like what could this reason be? We all see all the girls, like they're covered in like blood or paint, and they're all wearing like these weird cult outfits or something like that. And then we hear one line where I think it's a Nat or Shauna saying she poisoned us all. There's that line in there. So they're we could have a lot of theories about who actually poisoned them. I think number one has got to be Misty. We know that Misty, I think, poisoned Coach Ben. So she has poison on her. She could have poisoned all the girls. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe to get some sort of sense of control over them because maybe they're acting too weird. Like, I have no clue. And it could be anyone. It could be someone else. I think it's either Misty or Lottie. But my money is more on Misty. But now we can talk about some more theories connected to this episode in particular. So number one we got to talk about is Adam Javi or Javi, right? It's super obvious that that's what they're trying to make us think, and that's like the only reason why I'm still skeptical about Adam being Javi, only because it's super obvious. You know, Javi's name, his full name is Javi Martinez, and now this dude's name is Adam Martin. You know, Martinez, Martin, you know, it's sort of like they're throwing it in our face. You know, he also says that he has an older brother in this episode, you know, maybe a reference to Travis. And then I also heard some theories about, you know, he's shirtless in this episode, and people said that some of his tattoos resemble those symbols in that blackmail message. If you guys remember the blackmail message, and there's like some weird symbols. Supposedly those symbols are on Adam's body in like tattoo form. I haven't gotten back to look at that yet. If anyone wants to check that out and confirm it with me, that'd be cool. And you know, I think he's Javi or Javi. I think it's him. I just don't know like why. And if he's not Javi, then like what's his game? You know, like what is his, like why is he doing this? Why is he blackmailing them? Is he someone that's trying to get information and like sell it, or like what's he trying to do? And you know, I did say last episode I do think it was Jeff. I said last episode I think it's Jackie who's still alive. I think it's Jeff, and I think that theory could still be there. You know, Jeff could have obviously still been in the closet. You know, he could have had the glitter in there from the closet. And then also like, he buys Shauna a new dress. Like, where do you get the money for that dress? Maybe from the 50K. Sort of out there. I think like we're coming to the end of this season, and you know, next episode's episode 9. So for them to finally tell us in the second last episode that Adam is Javi, I think that'd be like a perfectly timed place to tell us that. And so I'm going to stick with that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will be too. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I can go on forever about the theories and stuff in this show. But the last couple things I want to say. But obviously the title, Flight of the Bumblebee, is obviously a reference to Laura Lee's last flight, as she's, you know, a yellow jacket of Bumblebee, Flight of the Bumblebee. And the last couple of theories is that we could, you know, in the comments, I want to talk to you guys about Adam and Javi's connection. That fire and what happened there. Could it, like, is it supernatural? You know, is it like the islanders want them to leave sort of thing? Is it one of the girls sabotaging them in some sort of way? And then what was your personal thoughts on the episode? Did you guys love it? Did you dislike it? Did you dislike it? I see a couple of dislikes on it, and I get it. For me, like I said, I love this episode. This show is so great. It's so much fun. And it's honestly the number one thing I'm looking forward to every single week now. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and this video, please make sure to like it. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. I will see you on the next video. Have a great rest of the day. Catch you in the next one.